not hard to find. Strong arm tactics so loud, only themselves in mind. Every player has dreams of making ORCA fame. They'll live on in the minds of those who get in their way. ORCA's all say, don't come for me. Mid-third boots, they're so vain. As we set up the podcast webcam, the pod is here to talk ORCA game. ORCA King CK with delusions of fame. In this LRG world, he's the apex predator. Danny and Jules in tow, always ready to go. Now it's time for the show. They're the apex predators.
Hello and welcome to the ORCA Pod, the Apex Predators of Australian Survivor LRG podcasting. I won't take a long time with the introductions tonight because later on, Greg is going to be on the show, and Greg has requested an extra long interview slot because he has a lot of things to say. So we're all looking forward to that from Greg later. But for now, without further ado, because I'm having very limited due for the aforesaid reason that I just mentioned, bringing in first, get my sound effect ready. Let's bring in Loz. Welcome.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
That's it. That's my whole intro because we're saving time for Greg.
Got to say plenty of time for Greg. He asked me to cut TWIOLSH, and that's just not a possibility at all. So we need to cut some time here. I'm not cutting.
Well,
TWIOLSH.
I've cut time there, Greg. I did that for you.
Undefeated streak, baby. All right, and bringing in, I don't know, Marc hasn't responded. I assume he's still skiing the slopes in Japan, out there in the fine snow, enjoying himself. But we have, basically the same person, best friends for life. They come with their trademark brand of snazzy wit. And let's bring in Josh.
Hello. Yeah, I love that. Look, I can zip it, but I just wanted to say, maybe is it a bit typical of Greg wanting to silence, a strong woman's introduction for more screen time for himself? Jokes,
you
Greg.
said it. I didn't say it. I'm just throwing that out there straight away.
Greg didn't say anything about reducing the interview, reducing the interest. I'm just having a little bit of fun, but he has asked for a lot of time because he's got a lot to say, which we're very excited to hear and hear what he has to say. Josh, do you think that you and Marc are basically got the same style of snazzy vibes? You and Marc, are you interchangeable or are you just personalities?
I think so. Marc's more like intellectual and like book smart, and then I'm maybe more like social, like
Big smart. Yeah. I get it. I think that's true. I think we saw you play Survivor. His strength was his strategic game. Your strength with your social game. I see what you're saying. They're right. Like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into this episode and what was everyone's strengths and weaknesses. Now, both of you predicted that the 6 would come back together and vote out one of Danny or Jules, but instead, the power player, the head of the snake, the leader of the tribe, the guy that was running things, according to Jules, apparently, was voted out of the game. Were you shocked, Loz?
No. I predicted this weeks ago. I predicted this. So no, I wasn't shocked at all. What I loved was that all of the things that I said would happen happened. I said he would be absolutely blindsided, shocked, wouldn't see it coming, would truly think that the game was playing out the way he wanted it to play out, and then all of a sudden, bam, he's gone. So what I'm kind of a little bit shocked about is that I predicted it so accurately. But no, not shocked.
You're disappointed you didn't say Greg will go last week, I presume, because you didn't say that.
That he would go last week?
Last week, I said who would go this week, and you didn't say Greg. No, I admit you did say back like last year. You said this would happen.
Yes. I mean, I think it's hard to predict at the moment because you've got like a real level of unpredictability with Ash, Mietta, and KK, and the way that their kind of decision making is playing out, it is, I think, it's a little bit difficult to predict. But I think ultimately what I had said would happen was that Greg was doing nothing to retain people who would want to keep bringing him along. He had alienated the three of his people on the new Nassau. You know, it was this majority thing. He iced out Danny and Jules. Aaron still didn't feel like he was part of the four. Mietta didn't know where she stood. Evan was kind of, wavering around it. And even when it finally merged, it was like the Greg game, and it was the Greg plan, but the plan didn't include everybody else. And so his time was always going to be limited, and it was always going to be a shock. And I think he was shocked. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. Maybe he'll be able to explain to us. But to me, whether it happened last episode, this episode, next episode, it was coming, and it would play out the same way, in my opinion.
Josh, were you surprised at all? Like, building on what Loz said, we got, in this very episode, we had the Greg and Mietta love story. It started off that the two of them were as thick as thieves. They're a new pair, the new power couple, and by the end of it, she's voted for him. It was a short-lived love affair, but it was there for the moment. I feel you're spot on, Loz, but what Greg seemed to miss is that his original four, the four that he locked in on minute one, were no longer together. And in particular, Mars, who he saw as one of his closest allies, felt like Greg no longer had a loyalty to him that he had before, even though from our perspective in Greg's confessionals, Greg was still very loyal to Mars. So there was obviously a disconnect in the relationship there. What did you see happen, Josh?
Well, adding on to what Loz said before, and you said, was I shocked at what happened? I actually was, because I feel like it's very rare, even in proper Survivor or in LRG, that you have such a strong, 7 or 6 versus 2, and then people actually do flip on the majority. I feel like it's always most of the time, a boring pagonging. So I was thinking, oh, here we go. It's just going to go through the motions. But I was hoping that Greg would go, just because it's a big, shocking move. I do say I think he was playing a pretty good, dictator-style game for a while. But yeah, he was unaware of how much he was actually annoying everybody, and his arrogance and kind of smugness was grating on everybody. And I think, there's definitely seems to be a girl's kind of mindset of girls, let's team up together, which, I mean, we kind of predicted that pre-season. We said there's a lot of strong girls. So yeah, it was good. And I would add in that I just don't know, what is Evan doing? I don't know. I just feel like he's out of it. He's gone. I feel like he, at this point, has the lowest win equity of anyone if he gets to the end. I feel like even KK would just sweep him. I don't know. I just feel like the games ran away from him, and I'm disappointed to see that.
Yeah.
Loz, you wanted to say something to what I said?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think what everyone else had picked up, and a lot of people mentioned in confessionals, that they were from the Nassau 2.0, that they were concerned about how tight Ash, Mars, and KK were going to be, how tight that alliance was going to be after what they had been through. And I think Mietta mentioned it, and I think Evan mentioned it, and maybe Aaron did. But I don't know if Greg ever mentioned it. And I think that was the disconnect, was that because he had the blinkers on with the game and how the game was playing out in his mind, he wasn't considering the fact that those three may have now developed another agenda. And that's exactly what they did in the end. They ran their own agenda separate to him. So, the fact that he didn't articulate that particular possibility, I think, was a downfall. And then as far as, Evan, I don't know what's going on with Evan. And Mieta as well. It doesn't feel like she's making deliberate decisions as much as she's just being almost like dragged along in the current. And that also for win equity is not looking good. I think KK is actually very articulate in how she's playing the game. We're not seeing it necessarily, but she can articulate it. And so that to me is quite powerful moving forward, because everyone keeps her with them because they think she's almost this goat.
Yeah.
And it's interesting for someone who doesn't know the game. She's kind of playing this goat role, knowing she's sort of playing this role, but not knowing what it is, but still able to articulate why she's doing it and why she's still playing a better game. So whereas Evan and Mieta today,
I agree. What's really fascinating about KK that I'm learning for the first time watching these episodes is she did have some sort of plan. Like her confessionals are well thought out, and you can hear what she was thinking about doing. But then, of course, from the perspective of the players and myself on the day, I'm only getting the sort of stuff Danny's getting. I'm only here to make friends, and you can see Danny's exasperation when she was told about Christelle. When Christelle said, I just here to make friends. And Danny's like, I can't work with that. What is that? I can't work with.
And then it cuts to her talking to Jules going, we're all going to be friends at the end of it. It was just the editing was just magic.
Yeah.
And then she's having
about KK, like literally agree with all of that. And I don't know, like I'm getting like, when I watched Canberra 3, I was getting like very early on, I was like, Bethany's getting all this content, like that she's picking up the game. She's like a step behind, but she's going to get there. And I'm really rooting for her story. And then in watching this episode, I'm like, the episode opened with KK. She was really articulate. She was saying like how she's kind of playing this goat and she's a little bit ditzy in real life, but she's playing it up. And I'm thinking, I'm like, and Greg, I feel like on the jury, he's going to be quite bitter and an aggressive juror. I hope Danny and Jules, they're great players and stuff, but I hope that they, don't get mad about someone blindsiding them because they're so invested. But like, I don't know, maybe they could be on the jury and be mad. And what if it's like someone who's backstabbed everybody, like a Mars or Ash at the end with it next to a KK? And what if KK gets like the sympathy vote? Not sympathy vote, but you know what I mean? Like everyone's mad, like a Russell Hantz and Natalie White situation. Like I don't know. I'm scared. I hope that doesn't happen. But with all the content she was getting, I feel like she's getting like a spike in like when.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it's beyond a sympathy vote in that she would almost convince me. I was convinced in this episode, the things that she's saying, I found myself nodding along and going, I think you do get it. Like, I think maybe you are in control. Maybe this is playing out exactly how you wanted it to play. Maybe you're fooling us all. And that's the tipping point, isn't it? I'm not sure yet. And if we get to that point, maybe she'll convince us one way or the other. But I think she's setting herself up very powerfully.
Yeah.
With not only in her gameplay, but with the people she's playing with.
Yeah, I think if she sits next to Evan, Mieta, she's already beat them no matter what.
Oh,
It just depends about the others. She could edge her way up there. You never know.
Yeah, I think so.
Are we actually comparing her to Bethany? Like, didn't Bethany play LRGs and flew over?
Oh no,
flew to a different country to play some.
No, like I'm the biggest Bethany stan of her strategic gameplay. I think Bethany is in complete control, knows the game, everything. I just meant when I picked up the breadcrumbs of the Bethany like win potential quite early on, and it turned out to be true. And now
similar vibe.
Getting it like halfway through the game with KK, possibly. That's just what I meant. But I think Bethany's top tick.
Let's circle back on Greg getting voted out. There's lots of things about you're talking about that he was confident. What he went into this episode thinking he had still the 3 with his original 4, Ash, Mars, and KK, and a brand new love affair alliance with Mieta, where they're the thick as thieves. So he's in a good spot numbers wise. I feel, based on the edit, that his major issue was he didn't do enough to make his original 3 still feel like he was all in with them, even though his discussions with us were that, as in the audience, were that he was all in with them. And I think it's probably because he was actually hedging his bets a bit and looking at other options. While I've got this 3, I've got that 3, and their vibes were not, Greg, you're 100% with us. They're like, Greg, you're looking for whatever opportunity gets you to the end, and that's not really with us. That's my feeling, because I don't understand why otherwise Mars, Ash, and KK made this move, though I think it was right to make a move on somebody given the presence of Jules as idol.
Yeah.
Josh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. Lars, you go. You go.
No, I disagree. I don't know that it was anything to do with his perceived loyalty. It was that he simply wasn't, like, his vision for what he wanted moving forward just wasn't in alignment really with what the people who are calling the shots, and particularly Ash is calling most of the shots. I mean, she's dictating most of the votes.
Can I pause you on that? Can I pause you, and then you can comment. He literally said to us his plan is to go to the final 4 with Ash, KK, Mars, who do appear to be the ones calling the shots. So how is there not alignment in their plans? To me, I actually think it was.
I don't know that they see him as being the person they wanted in that 4. I don't think it was a question of loyalty. I just don't think they saw him as being that person. He saw himself there, but I don't know that his social game was strong enough to ensure that he was actually on the right page at the right time with the right people. And that maybe it was the tribe swap, maybe it wasn't, maybe he really wasn't as tight as he thought he was, I don't know. But you can't just keep assuming that the plan is still in action without checking in, and individually checking in, because the wheels were spinning for everybody else almost except Greg. Greg was like, no, well, it's a no-brainer. We're 6-2. That's just how it's going to go. If you pull an advantage, we'll work something out. We'll do this, we'll do that. Whereas everybody else was almost working through other options. And, what, to me, his value to the 3 in power had diminished to a point that there was no value in keeping him when you've got numbers who will be flexible, who will vote the way you need them to vote in Jules and Danny. Greg was only going to vote whatever he wanted. Jules and Danny were like, what do you want us to vote? You tell me and I'll vote it. That's the thing. He just didn't have the fluidity to move around the game and didn't realize that the game was moving ahead without him.
Do you think, Josh, though, let's say Jules doesn't have an idol and, they might assume she has an idol, so there's always the risk of playing for that. But was this move made because of Jules's idol and therefore we have to get one of the 6 to protect our core? Or was this going to happen either way?
I think it's because of Jules's idol, to be honest. I feel like, there was that 50-50 toss-up. It's going to be played on Jules or Danny. And then Mieta had her idol. I was thinking, why didn't Mieta, if she was besties with Greg, could have said, oh, well, I might play this on me or Greg. And she could have done that too. I did think of that potential, which didn't really happen. But I do feel like if there wasn't this idol, I think they would have just stayed strong and just demolished Danny and Jules and then fought it out at the 6. But I'm very thankful that didn't happen. But I think that idol definitely pushed, Ash was, 50-50 wanting to make a move. Because I think Ash, Ash probably sees the narrative of, oh, I don't want to be in a boring game. Like, she's played before. She wants to switch it up and be that dynamic player. And I think Jules having that idol just made her go, yeah, that's the right thing to do, in terms of, yeah, I don't want the votes to maybe bounce back on me. And it just so happens it makes better TV as well.
Let's talk a bit about how Mieta, I like your thinking here, Josh, about how Mieta could have used the idol in interesting ways, her idol. What a big move it would have been for her to save Greg, knowing the votes are on Greg, and then turn the votes on someone more interesting, like Mars was immune. So it'd probably be Ash is the person you go for to completely break up the power structure. Now, I can't see Mieta like doing that at all. But let's say she considered, and I don't think she considered it at all, but let's say she did consider it and did do it. Would that be a good move, or do we think that would be just a big move for the sake of being a big move?
Great move. And she needs to make one. That would have blown up the game. And she is a challenge beast. Maybe she wins a few immunities, makes it to the end and say, hey, I blew up the game. I did this. And she'd win, probably. She'd probably clean up. If she gets to the end next to like KK and Evan, for sure. Yeah. That's what I think.
That's often all you need in Survivor. One move, and then the rest of your resume sort of speaks for you. So Eden is confused about why she voted for Greg. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's a whirlwind romance. It started off hot and heavy at the beginning of the episode. It was dead, but deader than it could be at the end. I'm not sure why. I
don't think Mieta is playing the game that we would play. Like, she's not playing that kind of game. Mieta would never have dreamed of making the move you just talked about.
Yeah.
Ash made a point in one of her confessionals, I think at Uncharted Waters, about how stressed and anxious and paranoid Mieta is at every vote, despite the fact that she's never not been safe.
Yeah.
And, there's no banking in on the currency that she's accumulating in the game. She's doing nothing with it. She's switching and back and forth and going with wherever she thinks the majority is going with, not really expressing an opinion. And all it means is that if she gets to the end, she won't have a move. And so I don't think she was desperately looking for someone who could give her that security of being in a pair. We saw the edit, she latched onto Greg, but as soon as the tide turned, Mieta was out. Greg was meaningless. And to me, it's just gameplay where she doesn't know where she stands, and as long as she makes it through the next vote, she's not thinking further ahead.
It's anyone but me. If it's not me, I'm okay with that. That's how she's playing. And yes, I feel good about Greg. But, oh, well, if it's Greg, so be it. And she's not thinking about the value in someone that you feel good about. That someone you feel good about, someone that you feel you can work with, is as valuable as keeping yourself safe, because that is someone you can work with to make a move or to keep yourself alive. She's not seeing it that way because she's not a fan or a student of the show like we all are. Let's talk a bit about...
And truly, why would you want to get rid of Evan or Greg when you could get rid of Danny or Jules?
Yeah.
That alone, I don't understand her thinking with that. I don't see she has a much, much better shot to get rid of the two girls, keep Evan, keep Greg, potentially have that majority, flip it, take out Mars, take out Ash, and go to the end in a 4 with KK, Evan, Greg, and Mieta. Yeah. That would be an interesting final tribal, and that could go anyway, really, depending on what they decided to do. Instead, keeping the girls around, they've got no hope. She can't beat Mars, she can't beat Ash, she can't beat Danny, she can't beat Jules, she probably can't beat KK, and one of them is going to be in the final 3. So...
Yeah.
What I find interesting is how they keep saying that if Danny or Jules make it to the end, they're definitely going to win. Like, normally when that's said because you're the underdog, it's because like your old alliance or your old tribe is on the jury and they're going to give you votes. Like, the only people that can vote for them are the 7. Like, it's not like it's filled with their friends. Like, it's
But
an
when
interesting
you get
one
on the
where
jury, you're going to vote for them. So how about you take them out now so you're not in that
Yeah.
position?
if you think they're going to win, then they shouldn't be in the game because you're all the ones voting for them. Which I also find funny when Danny keeps telling you, "Well, if you guys all just stick together, you're not going to get my vote." I'm like, you have to vote for one of them.
Are
Danny.
you going to vote for someone, Danny?
Yeah.
Let's talk
Eden
about
agrees with us in the comments.
Yeah, Evan always agrees with Loz. Let's talk about Schrodinger's advantage, which, stealing Loz's segment should be the name of the episode, to be perfectly honest. Like, how is it not Schrodinger's advantage, considering how much it was about Schrodinger's advantage through Uncharted Waters and into the Tribal Council? Jules finds an advantage. It's a fairly weak advantage, a public declaration advantage, but she uses it in ways throughout the episode that I think are quite effective. What did you guys think about how Jules played this advantage?
Yeah, I thought it was a good advantage. I like when there's an advantage that is, like this, or an extra vote, or a stealer vote. I hate advantages. Knowledge is power, super idol that are just overpowered. I can't be bothered. Just something simple, but it can switch things up. I thought it was good. I would have liked to maybe, being a bit evil and watching it, I would love to have played it on KK or Mieta, made them squirm a little bit, put them in the hot seat. But, Jules and Greg definitely have like a huge rivalry. So, of course, she was going to play it on him. And yeah, just maybe make him squirm a little bit before they voted him out. So can't blame her.
What I found was interesting about that, though, she asked Greg who Greg was voting for, and Greg said Danny. Yeah. So let's say that Danny and Jules weren't on the right side of this vote, right? Then the idea of getting Greg to vote publicly would be to find out where the votes might be going so as to play the idol on the right person. So I think Jules said that she thought it might have been a fake out in her voting confessional. But I wonder if she actually thought that, or that's just what she told herself so she could play it on herself instead of Danny. Because you want to play it on yourself in that scenario, right? Like, as much as you love Danny, and you just justify it. Even though I know Danny's already got one vote, I think that was a fake out, so we'll just play it on me just in case.
Yeah, but that's something Greg would do, though. He would fake them out because he just hates those two girls. So I actually kind of agree. He was maybe trying to trick her.
Jules thought they were doing a 3-3 split, in which case she was eliminating Danny by playing for it herself. But I don't think anyone.
The advantage. We know I don't get the advantages. They mean nothing to me. I don't understand the power and knowledge and safety and all that sort of stuff. And I don't think the advantage mattered all that much. I don't think it had a particular bearing on the game, really, because the only people who knew about it were her and Danny. So what it did, though, was give her the leverage to come at Greg and then with the others with that level of aggressiveness to really force them to think about what they were planning on doing and going, well, I've got something. You don't know what it is. I am going to use it. I am going to do this. What are you going to do to try and counter it? And I think just that aggressive approach added enough paranoia that there were people who were teetering anyway, and I think it tipped them. I wouldn't have made, and I mean, this is the tricky part of it. Who do you call out to get them to cast their vote? I would have wanted to know who Ash was voting for, because that would have dictated far more than Greg, Mieta, KK. Maybe KK, because KK will potentially have done what Ash has done, but she's missed out on a couple of votes. She's been an odd vote out. So do you risk it? Get Ash to reveal her vote publicly, potentially, if you survive it, put a little bit more pressure on that, shaky little agreement or alliance that they've got going. I don't know. But for me, the advantage itself wasn't the power. It was the existence of it and Jules and Danny having it. And the fake out, Jules would have been crazy to not play her idol on herself. I don't care what you thought was going to play out. It could have gone either way. So Greg's vote to me was kind of irrelevant.
There's a few comments here. Danny said she told Jules not to play the idol on her because it wasn't Danny's idol. I think that's true. It was Chris's idol, as we all know from the beginning of the game. Poor old Chris. Jules made the point that she plays it on Ash. She probably doesn't vote for Greg, and then that might spook other people when the Greg plan goes out. Ash says, if forced my hand, I probably would have had to back out of voting Greg. And so I think they probably played it on the right person. Jules was just trying to piss Greg off on the way out. She was certainly pissing off Greg at Uncharted Waters with his advantage situation. I'm going to be sad to see Greg go for many reasons. But the foil that he provided to the aggression of Danny and Jules, their aggressive push to make things happen, that the 7 or the 6 put Greg out in the front to take the brunt of it. And he did all the time with a level of composure. Greg, the funny thing about Greg is they're getting fired up and he doesn't sort of get he doesn't fire up at all.
He's so calm.
Yeah. I love that. I honestly
it was one of my favorite lines of the whole episode. Jules is in his face and he's like, it's 6-2. We'll work something out. And it was just so so deadpan and just so straight to the point. And how do you go? You kind of go, well, yeah, I guess you will. If I really am that far on the bottom, then I'm done.
Can I say my favorite quote? Gagged me. Greg was giving the energy of this straight bloke possessed by a gay bitch. He was like, Danny says that I give her and Jules nothing. Look at the position I'm in. Why would I give them anything? I was like, okay, queen. That was some drag race shit. I was like,
that was so true.
But honestly, so true. Greg just was stone-faced up against 2 of probably the biggest, most, not aggressive in a bad way, but aggressive, dynamic players in Danny and Jules out of any LRG. And he just took it, copped it, gave it back to them, but he never got aggressive. It was never it never felt like he disliked them personally or was intimidated by strong women. That was a joke when I said at the start. But it just felt like they were just strong people that didn't get along, didn't like each other, and they were just sort of met their match. I loved it. It reminded me of that Dr. Seuss story about those 2 people that are so stubborn and they won't they walk into each other and then the whole world moves around them and they just will not budge out of each other's way and they just get, I don't know what happens to them in the end. But that's it. Just stubborn, butting heads. Loved it.
I'm sure Loz will be in the best position to comment on this given her chosen career profession. But if all men would react to any sort of aggression from men or women with that level of calmness, we would have less violence. Most people,
I disagree.
Most people would respond with their own aggression and then it turns into a fight. I don't think I'd keep my cool as well as he did.
It's hard to not have. It's hard when there's no reaction. I actually think that's harder. And I think Danny and Jules have actually pushed the limits with how aggressive they've been. There was a moment where Danny, was kind of at Evan post-vote and Evan just kind of grabbed his water bottle and went, I just need you to leave me. I just need to be left alone. I need to not talk to anybody right now. And I think the people that we've got in the game are not people who necessarily respond very well to that kind of pressure. And I think, and it has it's worked for them, but for reasons other than the fact that they've been so aggressive. And I know that they're desperate, and so they're continuing to push that agenda. But I don't know that it's actually been the best path to take. And clearly with Greg, there was nothing. They got nothing out of him. You can keep yelling at him, and he's still just going to stand there and go, okay, cool. I mean, good chats. see you want to vote you out kind of thing.
We're sort of heading down this pathway, and I don't think we've talked about it. I think it's worth talking about. And look, we all here love Danny and Jules a lot. We all know that. And I think we all know, especially myself, and I think Loz, yourself, you agree with this, that we were people on our Survivor seasons that is not like us. It's not 100% us. It's a part of us. Maybe it's a caricature of ourselves. Certainly the way that I behaved, right? Obviously, you see our beloved Danny and Jules in these two people. But is there a level of aggression, like some of the most aggressive play we've seen in these LRGs? And is it like going too far? Sometimes you talk about Evan there, like, Evan's a gentle soul and he needed a moment because he was struggling. Yeah, I think it's worth discussing.
I think so. Yeah, I think as I think I'm a fairly assertive player. I don't know that I was necessarily an aggressive player. And I think a big part of your social game is understanding the nuances of and I think this is where Ash excels over Mars and over pretty much everyone else, is that she is able to understand what each person individually needs to hear from her and how she can influence them. Whereas Danny and Jules have kind of taken this singular approach of like smashing through every single barrier. And we said right from the start, a lot of these players, these are not type A people. These are introverted people. They've said that they have a hard time socially. And so to go at them with this in your face, you're going to lose, you're not going to get voted for, the end is coming, you're not thinking ahead. To me, it's not an approach that it's a chaotic approach that's probably going to backfire eventually. And it's hard when you're at the bottom and you're desperate and you're doing and it keeps working as well. They're surviving, but I don't think they're surviving because of the approach. I think they're surviving because of what's happening around them in the Tortugas. So it's interesting to
should
watch.
we have just laid down and vote them off? I don't think that's what Loz is saying, Jules.
No,
I think what Loz is
not what I'm saying at all.
Is that you should have had different approaches for different people, and people like Evan, who did seem receptive to Danny and Jules in the swap. We talked about that he may have been willing to consider a move on Greg. He may not have either, but the merge is a more dynamic time, and maybe that was the time to give Evan more of a cuddle than a yell, if you wanted to get Evan on side. I think Eden has a point here that
good point.
It's like, without too long didn't read, they're basically like two bad cops, and where's the good cop? And who's the one giving the carrots while one gives the stick? They're both giving the sticks, and they're using them on Greg and trying to beat him down, and anyone else that gets in their way.
Yeah, I mean, and even in that confrontation, Ash even walks away from it. And, you're never going to get through to Greg. I would have assumed that at that point, Greg was like a lost cause. And Ash sort of walked away. And, it's sort of, I'm watching it going, wow, the person that you actually do have the influence potentially over has just walked away from this confrontation. And I mean, this is the luxury of being able to watch it play out. But the dynamics of how the personalities are interacting, the approaches are particularly interesting when you compare how passive Greg and Mietta and Evan are in their style, and even Mars. It's all deny. I don't know. It's going to be tricky. They're very different game styles.
Yeah, but like Danny's comment there, like I sympathize with that because you like how we said, it's like, Evan, hello, wakey, like, what are you doing? And I think in that situation of being in such a minority 2 versus 6, you are going to feel backed into a corner, like a cat. You're going to scratch, you're going to get mad, you might be aggressive. But, sometimes like Evan does need a shake and a wake up. Like we're seeing that as viewers. So fighting for their lives in the situation, probably that frustration did come out a bit harshly. And, you know, I get Evan, you know, is maybe a softer soul or whatever. But, you know, it's Survivor. Come to play hard. Like, we're those people. We would be playing hard like they probably are. And I'm sure we've all had people on our seasons we were frustrated with that we thought were being boring, not making moves. I know I had like Jo in my season. She nearly quit the game at one point because I was being a bitch. And, you know, post game, it's a little bit awkward still. Sorry, but that's the game.
I think Jules makes the point that it was hard for them to compare notes because one was always at Uncharted Waters and the other one was at camp. Now, that was within their control, but it also makes sense that they always wanted one of them at Uncharted Waters to try and get the advantages that might have helped them as well. So I get that, why that occurred. I think that Jules's response to Greg about height, it wasn't a strong advantage. So to build the advantage up to being more than what it possibly was, I think was very effective. I think that they did freak Greg out enough on that. And so they weren't actually playing around Jules's idol because Greg was concerned. He said she doesn't have an idol. He was very sure about that. But he knew she had an advantage, and that's what they had to play around to some extent. So I think Jules handled that very well. I'm talking a bit about Ash this episode. I think this was a really stellar episode for Ash. Obviously, she's having a stellar season, and her confessionals have been elite the entire game. But I felt these confessionals in this episode got to a more enjoyable point where we started seeing more of her frustration with parts of the games and some of the people she was playing with and the way she is playing or having to play, while also still recognizing the job she's doing is very, very good. The confessionals got a bit more catty, and they were sort of a little bit catty in the past. Now they were a lot catty, and I'm here for the catty Ash in the confessionals. And I thought they were very, very good. And she almost won the challenge.
I love Ash. I mean,
as she said here, she almost won the challenge, and then we got a catty confessional where her Mars didn't let her win the challenge.
I know. No, look, Ash is just socially, she's just playing streets ahead. She's conscious of it. Like, we're seeing her play this different role for every individual person, but she's doing it on purpose, and she's able to articulate that. And to me, she's just pulling further and further ahead. Like, Mars's game this episode was like, I've taken notes on the number of times that he outright lied and got called on it. You know, just tried to play this, it's really hard. Like, man, I don't really know what's going on kind of thing. And everyone sees through it. Yeah. And it's in comparison to Ash, who was just got her finger on the pulse constantly with every single person in the game. The separation is becoming more and more and more contrasted. So, you know, I loved, you know, she called out what has been driving me crazy for 3 episodes, which is Nieta being so anxious and paranoid going into the vote when you've got immunity. You're protected. You know, sit in the hot seat a little bit longer and you might start to feel like the rest of us. So true. Yeah. That'd be so frustrating. You know, you'd want to turn around and go, mate, you're fine. Why are you being so, you know, dramatic about it? Everything's okay on your end of things. So, like, her confessionals were cattier, but they were accurate. They weren't just like, they weren't bitchy for the sake of it.
The thing she's doing that so well is she's not turning around to Mieta and saying what the fuck? Because I think for Ash, anyone who knows Ash in real life, or even watched her in Canberra 1, she's not the sort of person generally to hold her tongue. She's really having to hold her tongue a lot around these people when they're and not just her tongue, her face. So that when she says shit that annoys her, that she doesn't react to it visually as well as verbally. And then she gives us the face and the words in the confessional, which is a great place to get it out because it's entertaining and you're getting out those vibes, those bad vibes. But this is not an easy thing to do, particularly for someone like Ash, who doesn't generally spend her time sugarcoating her behavior around other people's feelings. It's not who she is.
She's incredibly controlled. Like, it's like she thinks before she says anything in the game. And I'm no good at that at all. it comes into my brain, and 9 times out of 10 it comes out of my mouth, even if I'm trying to not let it come out my mouth. And even the way she reacts to things, with Mars and his lies, it's almost like there's this little pause. And she's like, oh, yeah, well, he does know. Whereas I would have turned around and go, Mars fucking knows about Mietta's idol. He knows that. He's known that forever. Why would he say that? Why would he? But she doesn't. It's always this management of every conversation and every person. And
her own behavior, her own reactions. That's she's masterfully at managing these conversations. We talked about these people, but managing her own reactions to everything, which is the hardest thing to do, particularly in the pressure cooker that is a 2-day LRG, which is
how tired they all are. Like, you can just see the exhaustion, and your brain doesn't work very well when you're exhausted like that.
Now, do we have any? We've got Greg backstage. Do we have any final comments on the episode? I think we've covered everyone. We talked about everyone. We talked about everything. I think this challenge is fine. Whatever it is, it's a fine challenge. It's good. It's quick. It doesn't.
I wanted to make. I just wanted to reiterate. It's interesting to me. Mars is trying to play this, like, I'm so dumb in the game thing, and he, made some comments. Mietta asked him outright about whether him and Evan are close, and oh, no, not really. And Mietta, who doesn't have her finger on the pulse at all, turned around and went, what are you talking about? Of course you guys are close. And then they talk about the next vote with Greg, and I was like, yeah, man, it's going to be so tricky. And Greg straight away is like, what do you mean it's going to be tricky? Why is it going to be tricky? It shouldn't be tricky. It should be super simple. What are you talking about? And then he lies about knowing about Mietta's idol. And it's interesting that this is the path he's taking. Because I think, I don't know if he thinks people are buying it, but even the most, I guess, naive players in the game are seeing through it. And I don't know if he's picking up on it or not, or whether he just thinks that things are cruising ahead just the way he wanted, that it doesn't matter. But this was a real turning point episode for me, where I went, Mars, you're losing the game right now with these little lies and this not committing to people and not being upfront. You're not picking a side. You're trying to sit on the fence and play every single corner of it, and that doesn't work. So to me, this was the episode where really Ash is just, if they make it and stick it out, she's pulled so far ahead of him. And I think KK has as well. So there was just that point.
I think,
I did have some episode titles, but overall, I thought the episode title was good.
What would you? I do like your idea. I do think Mars is lying for no reason. It's just making him look silly. And Survivor is a game of deception, but you only need to be deceptive when you need to be, and you shouldn't generally be deceptive to your allies unless there's a good reason. And so, I guess because he was planning on voting like Greg, he was being like wishy-washy. That's the sort of thing that could have been like a real eye-opener for Greg if he had like another option or an idol or something. He might be like, what is Mars talking about? Why would it be difficult? We're going to get rid of Danny or Jules, and then we'll get rid of the other one, and then we'll have the 6. Then it shouldn't get tricky because we have our 4. It should be Evan and Mietta that goes, and then maybe it's tricky at our 4, like that from Greg's perspective, right? That's the only time it should be tricky. I know, Loz, you got your section, you got your episode title tirade. What are your alternate episode titles? Are we happy with? Was this snake behavior? No, it was last week. Was this week?
No, this is chaos. Chaos is my thing. I actually didn't dislike the episode title. I thought it was fitting. I only had 2 others, and one of them was also Mars's, and I just liked it because I thought it was quirky. And he was like, so schemy. And I thought it wasn't as much a chaotic episode as much as the scheming. So I kind of liked that one. And then my other favorite one was a KK quote. And she said, that's going to be some shady shit on the side. And I thought that actually captured where the game is at and how the episode played out. There is some shady shit going on the side.
Where were you, though, on Schrodinger's Advantage, which both myself and Eden believe should have been the title? Are you not into quantum mechanics?
That's also a good one.
Are you not familiar with Schrodinger's cat?
Yes, but
Josh looks unfamiliar.
I'm looking at
unfamiliar, Josh?
The way the individual.
No, I know it. Isn't that the thing where if you have a cat in a box, it's like doesn't exist until you open the box and you see that it exists, that thing?
Yeah, the cat's in the box with a thing of uranium, and then you shut the box, and the cat is both alive and dead until you open the box. Basically, both outcomes exist until you know the actual outcome. It doesn't really work for what Jules was doing, because it would only work if she didn't open the advantage. The idea being until she opens the advantage, then the advantage could be anything.
It could be A, B, C, D. It could be whatever until it's revealed.
Yeah, so it doesn't really work. But I still think Schrodinger's advantage is a great little turn of phrase.
I agree. I agree. I do. I think that's a good one. Yeah. Let's bring Greg in.
Let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Greg. He's definitely been an MVP of the season so far, dominating the game, dominating the power for many, many episodes, and not afraid to let his tribe mates know that he's dominating the game. But we all enjoyed his antics. He has a lot to say, and we're looking forward to hearing it. Let's welcome Greg to the show. I'm just getting my thing ready. Sorry. That's the wrong one. Here you go. Let's welcome Greg. Greg, the Orca Pod.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Do you want questions, or do you just want to go on and rant about something?
No, I want questions. I want questions. Yes. Thank you for that lovely introduction, Chris. But I didn't know what Schrodinger's. I didn't know what fuck she was talking about. Schrodinger. I didn't even know what words she was saying. I had to watch it a few times, and I still couldn't work it out. So I had to ask in the group chat, and I still didn't understand how it applied to this.
Well, I hope. Did my explanation help you that I just went through?
No, yeah, sure.
Thank you for humoring me.
Yes.
Now, you said when I said time for your interview, you're very excited, you're pumped. You're hoping all of us will be here. Marc's not here, sadly, because you've got words. But I think, for the most part, our little Orca group have been Greg Stans. You were Orca of the week 1 week. We've loved your content. Do you have words for us or words for other people?
No, it's you guys are spot on. It's pretty amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to get mad at us.
I have notes which we can get to, but for the most part, you guys were very, like, it was almost like you could see what even plays in the game or even post game I haven't seen, and what I was thinking, and just how everything played out, which is cool. It's like it's well done from Marc editing it so well that we came across. But yeah, questions, and you don't have to just tell me how great I was, which you seem to do that for everyone when they come on, so you don't have to do that. In fact, challenge me if you want.
Oh,
because I actually think whatever, it's been 3 years and I've thought about it most days since then, and especially obviously watching it. And I actually have come to the conclusion, especially watching the post-merge, which I honestly blacked out. I remembered pretty well the pre-merge, but the post-merge was, I mean, to be fair, it happened in about 4 hours. But I didn't remember, and I was actually pretty worried I was going to come across like I was literally doing nothing, or just I don't know. But I actually think I've come away thinking that I actually am really proud of the game I played, and I think that a lot of the stuff I was doing should have worked. So excited to get into it.
Yeah, I would have, I guess, a question, like seeing, like you come across as this domineering daddy of the game, like, very front and center of things, like definitely the figurehead of the alliance. And yeah, you sort of brush people up the wrong way. Like, would you do anything differently? Would you try to build relationships with people differently? Like, yeah, what do you think your flaws were? How would you change that if you could go back?
As in with anyone in particular, or just in general? Because I socially on pre-swap, I was pretty, like, I formed an alliance pretty quickly. And someone came after me, Nat came after me, but my alliance, like, everyone voted her out, like, chose to keep me. So I think I was pretty good socially there. Obviously, Aaron, I took, like, I think Marc said it earlier when that happened, that he thought I voted for him and I chose to not. I chose to be like prove loyalty to everyone else rather than, you know, giving up or throwing me and Christelle under the bus. So yeah, I mean, I felt, yeah, and then I felt good. Even with Aaron, I felt pretty good with him. Like, it never, everything that he was saying in confession, like, it never came up. We were fine. You know, we would talk about the game. We would talk about anything else. We had a lot of downtime on that first day. So it kind of, yeah, it all, look, I guess the wheels not came off, but it was a bit tougher post-swap with Danny and Jules in particular.
Yeah, like what happened with them? Why was there such just like conflict between you? Like, where did that begin? Like, you were giving them nothing. Like, can you explain further the behind the scenes of that?
Yeah. As in, I don't remember, they say in the episode, it's not in the episode, but they say that I told them that we're going to vote them out. I don't know, like, I don't remember exactly how I said it or what exactly I said, but obviously that's what they took from whatever I said. And I just, that whole post-swap, like, we didn't go to tribal council. We were just kind of chilling on that bench. I think the only time anyone was having private conversations was when I was in confessional, because I was doing confessional, because I didn't see anyone go off at any point. I don't know where they went when they were having those conversations. And I was like, well, why would I risk, you know, just like, you know, my alliance getting any suspicion on me and going off and having a private conversation when we're not even going to tribal council? And yeah, like, even Aaron, like, I didn't even throw, like, I didn't even, and this is probably, I think I just didn't give them anything. Like, even, I didn't even pretend. I didn't even, like, I remember we were talking about what happened pre-swap. They were asking about our votes, and I was like, oh yeah, someone got a couple of votes, but I didn't want to say who it was because then, you know, if I said Aaron, then obviously I went to Aaron anyway. Like, that's, you know, obviously it happened anyway.
But can I put you on that? Yeah, I think that's fine. I understand the strategy for that. And you asked that you want us to put the hard questions to you.
Please.
I guess socially, though, you weren't trying to build just general camp bonds. You know, it's a funny bit where you don't want to tell them what your favorite food is or whatever. And it's funny, like, because then you go to confessional.
I remember that. Yeah.
But it's sort of like a bit rude. And I can even say, even when my whole plan in my game was to gaslight Tash into feeling like she was like the most not successful person on the tribe, because she was a musician, I was still talking to her about music, even though I was gaslighting her at the same time. Like, so I guess their point of view might be, why not talk to us in camp with the other group about non-game stuff?
Yeah, I think I did. As in that one, whatever. That was just like I genuinely don't like talking about food. I have a thing about that. But, and then
really, because I heard you talk about lentils a lot.
I was like, oh, I don't have one. I don't have a favorite. And then as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, they're going to take it. Like, I just don't want to talk to them. So I was aware of it, but it was just like, oh, okay. And then I did say something, actually, but I'm not revealing it here.
Just lentils. Lentils is the answer. The answer is lentils.
Sure. But what I was going to say, yeah, and there's a bonus scene where Danny gets bitten by an ant, and I'm there, and I'm like, I say that's my least favorite ant. That's nice. Like, I never said anything mean about them. I just didn't there. But yeah, and let me. I feel like I was sort of bringing this up the whole time through the post swap, but definitely in the merge. Why is it on? Like, they were acting like it's on me to come to them with a plan, with a proposal. I don't understand. Like, okay, I say one thing to them. It's when we swap. Oh yeah, we're an alliance. Like, we're gonna vote together. Likely, I guess. And they're not even interested in you, and they're trying with everyone else. Aaron's, yeah, maybe, but in the end says no. Neither of the other two also. None of them gave them anything. All they had to do, and I've thought about this, come to me and say, hey, Greg, Aaron wants you out. Done. Let's vote Aaron out. Easy. And then we have a 5 going into SWAT, if or even a 6. But then we can still vote Aaron out at the merge, and then we've got a 5 against their 3, hypothetically. Yeah. But they didn't even entertain it. They never came to me once with any idea. And then, but it's my fault. I was in the middle. It's my fault that I didn't come to them. I feel like I found it really sort of egotistical. I think their ego didn't allow them. No, I
agree.
I didn't allow them. I
agree with you.
And then I'm the bad guy. Yeah.
And the way I see it is that they almost like cut their nose off to spite their face. They decided that you were anti-girls, and so they made themselves anti-Greg.
Like anti-girls in general, or them specifically?
Anti-Danny Jules girls, anti-pink girls, or whatever you want to call them.
And I was.
And you were. And the thing is that it almost then becomes this stalemate where they won't talk to you, you won't talk to them. You don't understand why they won't come to you. They don't understand, and vice versa.
I don't need to.
And someone had to back down and no one did. And in the end, the game kind of moved around almost the 3 of you without a lot of input necessarily. I think Danny and Jules would have voted for you or Evan or whoever else, really, whichever way the wind had blown on that last vote. Turned out that the people in power picked you. But it was almost like you guys iced each other out to a point where there was no more game to play. And I think the confrontation with Jules and you at Uncharted Waters, which to me was, it was great entertainment. Did it contribute anything much to strategy? I don't think it did. I think it was just fun to watch. And I'd already mentioned that Ash walked away. But that to me was a perfect example of how you guys were it was just butting heads.
But
why are you asking me?
But I de-escalated in the end. I was like, if you don't want to tell me anything, that's fine. All good. And she was like, oh,
we talked about that. We talked about that. Where does this just calmness in face of such strong aggression come from? Does it come from your time living in the commune where if people got angry, you just had to calm yourself and walk away?
I reckon potentially. I wasn't very good at it in the commune. One of the reasons I left. But well, that wasn't the only reason, actually. There were a lot of reasons. But
did you leave or were you voted out?
The commune broke up. And people sort of some people went to live together in smaller groups, and I was no one wanted to live with me after that. So technically, yes. But what I was gonna, but yeah, it's not. But it was. I think it was more just one. We were probably pretty tired, but 2, they just I didn't feel like they had leverage. I was like, okay, whatever advantage you have, it's not gonna be that good that I care that much. I'm not gonna give you give up. I'm not gonna turn on my alliance to tell me what's in that little envelope. So I just was like, you're coming at me because you're throwing a Hail Mary, or you're letting your anger out on me, but it doesn't, it's not. I didn't even feel like we were fighting. Ash is like, oh, I'm gonna walk away from this fight. I was like, this is a fight. In Israel, people yell at each other, and I just got back from Israel at the time, living there for 6 years. It's like yelling at each other is just talking normally. So I think maybe that came across as a serious fight or altercation, but for me it was just like.
So for the people around it, Jules said she doesn't feel like it was a fight either. For you and Jules, it's completely fine and you don't care. But for other people, they're like, oh, with it. If Evan was in that conversation, for Evan that would be too much, right? So it's different people's perspectives of the conversation. Can we turn to what do you think went wrong between yourself and the 3 that you were most loyal to? KK, Mars, Ash. You went into that merge telling us that you remain committed to that 4. Why did they not believe that? Why did they choose to vote you out here and not stick with you?
Good question, given I saved their asses. It's because of me. It's because of me that Mars didn't have a 50-50 chance of all of them going.
Yes, the extra vote slip. The extra vote slip, massive move.
And I decided to do that. No one tricked me. No one was like, come on. I did that. Mars was saying, I don't think we need it. I was like, take it anyway. Give it back to me if you don't need it. Like, so yeah, that was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm yelling.
Why? Look, we'll have to ask them when they're eventually on the show if you don't know. But
That's
do you
why-
have any
I don't-
idea?
Am I yelling? Is that too?
No.
You can fire it up at this more than when
No,
you were
no.
with Jules up there.
Yeah, you're good.
If I'm yelling, just tell
fire you
me.
up.
No, commenting on that, I forgot, like, I don't know how I forgot. I kind of forgot about the extra vote thing because when it
Movie of the
happened,
season.
I actually
Yeah.
screamed in the episode. I was
It
gagged.
was a beautiful
I
moment.
was like, iconic move by Greg. That literally was such an amazing move. And yeah, you're right. Like, you literally saved them. Like, that ungrateful, right? Actually true. So that's why you were so locked in. It makes sense.
And then I had a confessional that I was controlling both tribes, and Loz, you found that funny, but not funny with me. Funny that thought I was controlling the game. But I was kind of.
Yeah,
Like in that way I was. I had influence on
Yeah,
what
I
happened.
think that was pre us knowing though that you had handed that vote over. And I guess my only thing was I wasn't seeing the control over the new Nassau.
No,
And maybe it was just the edit, but
yeah. And then I mean, one thing I'll say about Chris, you said last week that the consensus is that if we'd gone the post-swap, if we'd gone to tribal council, that I would have been voted out. I don't think that's true. That's just what Danny and Jules say because they talk a lot, and Evan and Mieta have never said anything. Aaron's
that's with an Aaron flip and a use of the idol.
Yeah, as in I'm just saying it wouldn't have been a 5-1, and if it had been the first vote, I would have had the extra vote, so we would have only needed 2. Like we would have only needed 3, and then at least we would have. Whatever, the idol could have potentially bounced back on me.
Would have been with the idol. Like, I'm not saying they'd have the numbers. It would have been a tricky like Survivor advantage move.
But in terms of getting back with them, and also it's like you say, Josh, you didn't remember that, but in real time it was a few hours, right? Like we swapped at about midday on Saturday and merged that night. Like it wasn't, and they'd voted out. Yeah. Anyway, so. But yeah, I mean, we merged pretty late, and I didn't get to touch base with anyone really that night. Kind of just the weather was bad. We had to figure out the sleeping situation. Ash went off to smoke weed with Tara, so that was genuinely a big. No, it was genuinely a big. It was probably one of the biggest. Yeah. It was. I didn't notice it in the episode, but I knew that happened. That we were and we were never really able to. I mean, I knew it happened after she told me after the game, but I was never able to reconnect with her and to just sort of realign, like get aligned and what we want to do. And then, but like, I mean, I found it hard to watch. Like pre. Sorry if I'm rambling, but this is 3.5 years worth of thoughts in my head that are just finally coming up. But it was pretty hard watching the pre-swap, watching Ash and Mars's confessionals, and aside from the premiere, just talking about how everyone's so dumb except for us, and we're the only ones who are actually playing the game, and it's so kumbaya, and Mars is doing his big hand thing, like, what are you doing? It's like, I was talking game with both of them. We were running numbers. We were talking about all different scenarios. Like, I just don't really understand why they were acting like, oh my God, they're all such idiots. And I mean, they can say about other people, but I don't know. It didn't come across as like genuine or like what was actually happening in the game. And then, and there's just not, I don't know. It's weird. It's like there wasn't anywhere near as much loyalty from their side. Even throughout the game, there was like here and there they'd say, "Oh, yeah, we've got the 4," but it was not. Yeah, in my mind, like that was the 4, and then I guess I don't know. Post merge, it's like okay, we end up voting together, and then I mean, I would like to ask you guys the choice is between Evan and me at this vote. Do you think they made the right decision? Because I don't. Like for their games, I don't think it was for Ash specifically. Ash, Mars, Mieta. The fuck.
Obviously, you're speaking theoretically. You can't talk about what happened.
Yeah, obviously. No, I was having these thoughts.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
I think it was a terrible decision. I would have taken out Danny or Jules.
No, but okay, fine. But say it's out of, they were debating between Evan and me. Mieta was saying one point she wants to keep me because she can read me well, etc. Like that. That was
we just did a romance, a whirlwind romance with Mieta in this episode.
Evan's off on his own. Like, you know, what do you think it was the right decision to keep?
The choice is realistically, I agree with Greg, it is realistically between him and Evan because they are not taking the chance on the idol. They know Jules has an idol. They know it expires this round. They're not fucking with that. They're not voting for Danny or Jules. It was a smart strategic play for them to vote for one of Greg or Evan. That is really the choice. And he's asking you guys, should they have voted for Evan?
Yes, I think it was a smart move. Yes, I think you are a much bigger threat than Evan. Absolutely. I think Evan can make it to the end and will probably lose. I don't think he has win equity. I think had you made it through the next vote and the next vote, had you made it to the end, I would have voted for you. So yeah, I think it was the right move.
I would vote for you.
The right move was to keep Greg.
Yeah, I would have voted for Greg at the end, but I actually think I would have kept Greg and voted out Evan because Evan is just he's just a filler person right now. He's making no moves. He's just someone that's going to take up potentially, if I'm any of the other players, he's going to take maybe my spot at the end, and I'm not sitting there, and he's there sitting there as a GOAT. So having Greg there is a shield. And even if I'd be like, yeah, Greg's played a good game, but he's also disliked, and so even if he gets to the end, I might beat him because some people just don't like him, full stop. So I actually would have voted out.
There are so many shields still left in the game. So I don't. Ash is a shield. Mars is a shield. Danny's a shield. Jules is a shield. I would want to take Evan, Mieta to the end because I beat them.
Well, as you believe in taking the strongest to the end, that was your plan. You don't fear. Yeah. You don't need goats. If you're a strong player, just bring other players and you beat them. You don't need to fear them. That's how you were playing, Loz.
But don't you think? But Ash thinks she can beat me.
You have to take out certain big players. You can't keep every single big
player
at the end.
Ash would beat me, and Mars maybe at that point potentially would beat me. Like
I think Ash could potentially, but I think you have to potentially beat Mars.
Why would? No, but for Ash was okay. Ash is running the tribe. Ash is controlling his vote. That's her decision. Why? Like she can beat me. What's her issue with? And I'm playing a straight up game. I'm loyal.
She doesn't have the influence over you that she has over other people.
Why not? What have I done to make her think that?
No, I think it's the point. You don't do what Ash says. Like Evan.
When did I not do what Ash says?
What she says.
What do you mean?
Well, if you watch
you
the
had
episode,
a game plan.
You have your own strategy.
So what? Don't you want to play with players that are playing that you know how they're playing the game? You can't read.
I agree.
Evan. They don't bring in Evan or Christelle on this vote. Not because just because they don't know what they're gonna do. They can't trust. Christelle might be overwhelmed. Evan, who knows? Like they leave them out of the vote. Not because not because they're worried they'll anything strategic. They're just like, we don't need them. Or like
Ash says here in this confession, in this episode, she says she thinks Greg would get more credit than her.
Based on what? Based on what have I done at this point? A pretty good non-tribal council. Like maybe, who knows? There's still a lot of game to play. Who knows what would have happened? But
you were seeing.
I would have, and I felt, and you can see how I'm feeling. I'm very obvious that I feel like I'm doing well. I feel like people are, people think I'm playing well. I would have gone to the end with anyone. So I feel like, assuming you can beat me, which whatever, Ash can say what she wants, but she definitely could have. It would have been, and she knows Danny and Jules aren't voting for me. She knows, potentially Aaron's not voting for me. That's already 3 votes I've lost. Like, you know what I mean? It's like pretty.
The thing is, JP's raised a great point. I think this is what you need to take away from this. You seem sad that you played well and got caught out. Like, in the end of the day, I agree with you. It was a choice between Evan, who's in more of an easy beat, and you, who at this point in the game has played a very strong game, right? You're seen as a leader. You've taken control of votes. You did the amazing Parchment, you said you were in control of both swap tribes. I think there is some truth to that. Like, I'm not saying you're not going to have a challenging time with someone like Danny or Jules if they're on the jury, but you know, you are a threatening player, and it's a legitimate choice for people to decide whether they want the threat or the non-threat, and whether that works out, Ash, in the future, we'll have to wait and see. But you know, like,
and it's
I think,
more than a threat. Like it's more than a shield. It's a shield that draws more attention to you, or a shield that deflects. And I think Greg, for whatever reason, you drew attention. You know, and that wasn't a good thing for Ash. It wasn't a good thing for Mars. At least they didn't see it that way. And so I think that's why there are shields and there are strong players, but there are strong players that become more of a risk the longer they're around. And that's kind of where you sat for me.
Yeah, I think it was potentially too early. And I guess so that's Ash's perspective. But Mieta,
I don't get Mieta.
What the fuck?
she's in love with it.
She didn't even tell me about her idol. I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it.
Oh.
Which was a huge blind spot for me in general, thinking about where the idol could be. I didn't think about it. And that's on me. But everyone else was like, she told fucking Jules before she told anyone in our tribe.
Yeah, that surprised me.
And then she tells Ashley, and then she comes to me and it's like, let's be a pair. I remember this conversation. I was like, oh yeah, let's do that. And then I find out a tribal council that I'm about to get voted out, that she's got an idol. And one thing I wish I'd done, I've thought about this so much since then. I wish I'd done like a Benji from Australian Survivor, where someone gets played and then you're like, wait, no, play, like try to convince her to play it for me. Because I mean, I don't think she would have, but it would have been amazing TV either way. Like if she just stares me down and is like, no, that would be awesome as well. But like, why not? She plays it for me. She flips the game. She's got me as a loyal ally, which I've always been loyal.
She would never have done it, Greg.
I know, but I'm just saying.
She wasn't playing that kind of game.
It's funny because it's like she would have then it's like me, and then and both Evan and Christelle were left out of that vote, and that's a 4 against.
Like as George said, she was very paranoid, and she not played it for anyone except and she's not a Survivor fan. You need to be a Survivor fan to be in that scenario and go, I've got this idol that pretty much everyone knows I have. So they're going to assume that I'm going to play it. So they're not going to vote for me. So I'm basically immune. And now can I do something more interesting with this idol in this vote? Or I could save Greg. That would show, like, you need to have watched a lot of Survivor to have those thoughts. And she's got 0 Survivor. Like, she's never going to think that.
I have a comment on this. So obviously you have a big rivalry with Jules and Danny. There's more girls than guys in the game at this point. Because it doesn't really make sense why Mieta flipped on you. Do you think that potentially with your fights with Jules and Danny, do you think it became like you got perceived as maybe like it had something against the strong females and it became a men versus women thing, and that's why she like told Jules first and stuff? Do you think that maybe played an aspect in it? Because I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me either. So do you think that's an aspect of it, like that's the narrative that was going on the tribe and why things turned against you?
No, as in, I don't know, I've never heard that. I just think she enjoyed the challenges. She enjoyed people preparing activities for her to do. So she wanted to do more of them.
I don't think that anyone on the season, and I think Danny and Jules included, saw anything that Greg was doing as misogyny or anything like that. I don't think there was ever a perspective of that it was about girls. They've never said anything like that to me. I don't think that's what it was about. Danny's saying that's the case. I don't think Greg gave any impression that he had any sort of misogyny. It was purely a personality thing.
Yeah, just because
can I make one point there with that?
In all of Survivor, there's always the looming threat of the Girls Alliance. So I thought that could have maybe been an aspect, but I'm glad that it wasn't.
Because Danny took out anyone that she perceived on original Nassau as being a more alpha player. And I think, Greg, you embodied that as well. I mean, when you look at the four that came across, you, Aaron, Mietta, and Evan, you're clearly the more alpha of the four. So, I mean, maybe it is just, it's that flow on. Like Danny had taken out all those big players. And then you were
that's what I was saying about ego. Like she, you know what I mean? She's playing from a position of like, I don't want to play with him because he's whatever he is, as opposed to, well, strategically, it could make sense to work together. But yeah, that's
We had one question from Marc, who was a stan of yours, as you know, in absentia. He's questioned, did you know that you were like, so when Loz played, we knew we were the villains when we were playing it. No surprises when we saw the video. Did you think you were the villain, like the very masterminding villain, confident villain, or did you think you were the hero of your own story on this season?
Yeah, good question. Probably more the hero, I would say. Like I knew that I was, I had a rivalry with Danny and Jules, but I didn't know that I was the villain in that situation. Or I don't even know if I am, but I still don't really think I am. But I remember CK, you like coming up to me after I was voted out and being like, "Yeah, I think we had similar like playing with Fire and coming out." You were like, "Well, we had similar arcs," and I was like, "Okay." And then I watched Playing with Fire. I was like, "No, we didn't. Everyone hated you." And then I watched this. And I watched this, and I was like, "Oh, actually, I can see it now." But
do you have any final words, Greg? I think it's been a long interview, but it's a great interview.
I do have a few more. I want to talk. I want to talk about the tribal council. I also just whatever. I think that the advantage was pretty shit. I don't see what was the purpose of putting it in the game. Like what you were talking about before, there's nothing really strategic you can do with it. It's pretty much like a humiliation sort of ritual. I'm not saying that no, it kind of is. It's like, and I'll tell you how it sort of played out. It's like Jules walked, it's like whatever. Firstly, we're having tribal counts, and then all of a sudden Jules, like I don't remember anyone saying, okay, it's time to vote or anything. Jules just sort of decides on her own accord she's going to end tribal council, walk up and be like, I've got this advantage. And then she reads it, and then she explains to me like I'm 5. So basically what it means is we're going to get to hear you vote in front of all of us with our arms out. And I'm just like, and then all of a sudden, Keegan, do you guys know Keegan? He's very large.
Yeah, we know.
We know Keegan.
And as soon as Jules does that, Keegan comes in, he's like, stop, everyone, stop talking. He wasn't stop, that's it. Okay, no one's saying anything.
He does yell like that too.
You stand up, vote now, no one's allowed to say anything. And it's like, firstly, why is that good TV? Like if I wanted to be like, okay, guys, who should I vote for? What's like, what are we doing here? But I was like, okay, sorry, I will now stand up. I suck. Like I've been like, and then I was like, and I really didn't know who I actually didn't know who I was voting because we were trying to sort of whisper before. And that should have also been a red flag because Mars and Ash are in front of me. I'm sort of whispering strategy. Like when Jules pulls out the idol, I'm sort of whispering like, okay, what do we do? How do we do this? And Ash was just giving me nothing. Like she's just like, I don't care. Like, what do you mean you don't care? Like, so that should have been a red flag. But and then I didn't even really know who I was voting for. So I just sort of like, okay, Danny. But I don't know.
Well, in response to your point, production, that all of that makes sense from a production point of view because it gets the TV outcome that we got, which is what we want. I will say that I'm aware. Look, I put these advantages in the game with a team, so I would defend them. But I get what you're saying. But I'm aware of an unreleased LRG where that particular advantage was used in a really incredibly effective way. So I won't spoil anything on that, but I am aware of seeing it being used effectively.
I
can't spoil this unreleased LRG. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but like what they said before, like you wouldn't use it on someone who you're planning on voting with, and then so it's just like, what's the point? Is my opinion. All right. What do I do now? I have so many notes, but I think I've pretty much covered everything.
I can do a Greg. I can do a deep dive with you. No, Josh, we're gonna end it. I can do a deep dive with you at one point, Greg.
No one cares about TWIOLSH.
Yeah, I agree. With
Gonna
you. Please,
Greg.
oh, no.
I don't
Please.
like
I
in
don't
the
care about TWIOLSH.
in the
I
season
agree.
in the season. In the Uncharted Waters group chat, Adam's like, I didn't realize there was an extra bit where you talk about the season.
Who cares about Adam's opinion? Adam's just a squeaky wheel.
Doesn't everyone else tune out?
Oh,
Anyway, whatever, it's fine. It's for you.
Adam's a
It's your
squeaky
podcast.
wheel who should enjoy TWIOLSH more.
Can I do a question? Because the comments are popping off. Like, love Jules and Danny, they're my girls, but there's lots of like sniping comments. So I want to know, with no spoilers, obviously, how is your relationship with your other players from your season post game?
Do you want me to? I could get real if you want. No, it's not. It's even like it's not really nothing personal. No, it's in. I don't know. Nothing. It's not what you think. No, as in whatever. As in, I'll say post getting voted out, and as in general, is like I was pretty sort of. It was like first whatever. I actually won't talk about put the jury and whatever. But I guess in general, I was pretty shocked. I'll say it was the most the whole game was one of the most intense and incredible experience I've ever had. And I didn't really know what to expect. I'd never really watched an LRG. I didn't know anyone. I'm just a Survivor fan. And I was blown away by how like immersive it was and how serious everyone took it, both like the crew especially. And it's like, okay, so I think it made us, me at least, play harder, just seeing how much everyone cared. And then post getting voted out and even post game, like Ash and I had a 5-hour, I don't know if it was actually 5 hours, but it felt like that, like a 5-hour coffee where we went through everything. And it was, I think, it was pretty cathartic because that was definitely the biggest one that I just sort of wasn't what I thought was going on, or at least I had a lot of questions after. And then I've seen like nothing of note. I've seen people at a few, playing with Fire Premiere and stuff, and at Annabelle's traders party, and nothing of note. Like, nothing particularly. Danny lives in Sydney, so haven't seen her since. I think so like when I see Jules, it's we chat. Oh, I don't know. I had no, but you could say I had no issues with Jules even during the game, like from personally. But
I think post season we're going to have to get Danny or Jules. I think not both of them. That's unfair. And we can moderate some sort of debate if you like, the debate of the century. That could be worthwhile. Yeah, Jules. Jules is keen. I think
we can debate podcast. We'll cover a season.
We'll podcast about that. So we've got more stuff that can be done. I just want to say, Greg, you were fantastic on the season. When we cast you, you seem like a really interesting guy. And I was interested in this interesting guy with this interesting background about the commune and everything. But I didn't expect you to probably be like the MVP player that drives narrative, that makes the big move, like swapping the parchment, that gives these I'm in control confessionals. Not everyone is capable of giving these sort of overconfident confessionals because people don't want to look silly if they're wrong. But that's what makes excellent TV. You were excellent on the show and excellent in a production sense the whole way through. I said here before, when you told production you were going to make the vote handoff and when you were going to make it off during the challenge so that they could have a camera on you. That sort of stuff is exceptional from a production point of view. The confessionals were exceptional, and the content you provided as a player was also excellent to watch. It was, you were trying to make moves, you felt you're in a position, playing strategically. And look, yes, it's why did that group not believe in you? I don't know, but screw them. How many of them have played on stage with Green Day live? None of them. Only you, Greg. So you win, okay? You win. You and Billy Joe Armstrong are mates, and you don't need to be mates with any of those people that voted you out.
Thank you.
That's true. All right. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks for asking me, Chris. I appreciate it. And thank you.
It was me and John.
Yeah, it's been super fun. It's been super fun hearing you guys' takes every week. And I feel like they've been really fair and honest, and I have enjoyed it a lot. So
thank you for a great interview.
We love you. We stan you.
Danny Greg,
I want to
that was a
see you
brilliant-
play again. I want to see you play again, Greg.
Greg
Tell me
deserves
what-
another shot. And that was one of
All
our
the people that ask me, I'm happy to apply for whatever.
On the villains tribe, not the heroes.
very hard to get recast in these things. But you did an excellent job, and this interview was one of our best. So thank you so much, Greg.
Appreciate it.
All right, so apparently people don't care about TWIOLSH. Look, I just want it. TWIOLSH isn't just about me kicking the booty of these other people. It's about drawing attention.
Really?
It is.
Really?
It's about drawing
It's an
attention.
ego thing for you, CK. Come on.
I lose sometimes. It's about drawing attention to the quality work that has been done by many people over many years in these LRGs. Loz, your season shouldn't be forgotten. Josh, your season shouldn't be forgotten. Greg will love this TWIOLSH when the question and answer one day is Greg. Like, yeah, be like, yeah, I was the TWIOLSH answer, right? Like, you know, it's about
Most of my
recognizing
season.
well, I can't be held responsible for that. But we're reminding you, Loz, we're bringing it back for you and for the Canberra and everyone else that these other seasons happen.
I could
and
just
still
watch
relevant.
it again if I wanted to.
But you're not going.
It's okay. I'm sorry. I take it all back. TWIOLSH is amazing, and let's do it. Let's just play.
We'll be back
Please.
after
Please,
TWIOLSH,
can we-
Adam. After TWIOLSH, Adam, for what will happen next week and the ORCA of the episode. It could be an interesting one. Let's remove everyone. Let's put in the thingo. Let's start the music. It's the wrong one. Let's start the music. Welcome to the hostess. You muted yourself.
I did.
On history.
No,
I did a second time.
serious thing that no one cares about.
It's people care. All right, so let's bring in our contestant for this episode of TWIOLSH. It's one of the producers of Melbourne 4, one of the producers
might be in
of
trouble
Melbourne, Melbourne 3. He knows all about Melbourne. Helped me as well, and John and Vince in putting together all of the Uncharted Waters production, was a critical member of the production team on the day. Uncharted Waters, living in a tent, doing a lot of data wrangling, which is like the worst shit to do, helping the data wrangling, an invaluable asset to the entire Uncharted Waters production. There's many people that it would have not have happened without, but he is certainly one of them and up there in lights. So let's welcome a stalwart of the Melbourne community, and of course, the infamous first boot in LRG history. Let's bring in JP. Welcome.
Hello everyone.
TWIOLSH Mastermind. Didn't I beat you last time we played?
Yeah, like somebody has to beat you.
That was a
I'm
warm
not.
up.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going to win. I'm just going to put that out there straight away. So
I've
if
done
you give
very
me-
little research.
Yeah, well, I haven't done any research.
Good. Yeah.
If Jules can
Let's
give
go.
me answers about my season, that's all I need.
I mean, your season
Well,
is
you
one
could-
of the options.
Hey, okay,
Pick
I'll
it if
take
you
it.
want. He's just starting. Just give him
You
Warren
should
Duff.
know that traditionally, I will make the questions about the person's season intentionally hard. Like, just
Oh, okay.
that's a standard
Well,
thing.
I mean, it was the first boot. If it's about the first tribal council, I know everything because
Well,
that's
no,
all
it's about
I know.
That's about
Episode
episode 8. Episode 8.
Episode 8. Oh crap. Okay.
Because we're
Cool.
at episode 8. That's how we do this. Anyway,
do you know-
you
do you
have
know
a
Josh-
choice.
Does he know about phone a friend? We have to tell him about that, I think.
Yes, hang on.
Right.
We have a choice of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose from Warren Dye from Playing with Fire. You can have Melbourne Mystery Box, which is another question about anything from Melbourne. Backyard 4, Backyard 5, Canberra 3. You now have a phone a friend. You have the two
Okay.
ORCAs backstage who can come in and help you answer one of the questions if you need it.
Okay.
As
All right.
usual, I will read you a question. You can choose to answer it outright, and if you get it right, you get 2 points. If you're not sure, you can ask for multiple choice. I'll give you 4 options, and if you get it right, you'll get 1 point. In any scenario, if you get it wrong, CK can steal for 1 point.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Where would you like to start?
I think everybody's very excited for this segment. Let's just do Melbourne Mystery Box.
Melbourne Mystery.
Oof.
Oh, this is not a good choice. We're going to season 1.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. Following the tribe swap, who asked the members from their old tribe to throw the challenge?
Yeah, no idea. I'll get a multiple choice, please.
Your options are Alicia, Kyle, Nicole, or Rosemary.
That doesn't help me. That's all the people I know. It seems like a Rosemary thing type to do.
That's incorrect.
Yeah, it does seem like her though.
If it helps, she did go out immediately after the tribe swap, so she probably should have asked people to do that.
Yeah.
Who are the options?
Okay. Your other options are Alicia, Kyle, Nicole.
I kind of feel like it was Kyle.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, Kyle.
Cute. Why do you even get them right when you don't know them? Yes, it was Kyle.
I knew it.
No, you
There were
didn't.
other options.
All
Playing
right.
with fire, please.
Where would you like to go?
That's
Playing with fire.
Playing with fire. Okay, we had a double tribal council. So there's some guy named Chris got voted out, and Tash, who is the only person who voted the same way at both tribal councils.
Ooh, that's interesting. It's very interesting. Because it's a mess. It's gonna have to be someone who voted for Brady, because I wasn't sadly there, and I don't think Laurel voted for Caitlin twice, which would have been crazy if he did. She did. So it's going to be someone over for Brady. I think the answer is Tash.
That is incorrect.
Well, who did she vote for?
JP,
Chloe?
because AK did not ask for multiple choice, you can't have them, but you know people that were there.
I do.
Tash was one of the multiple choice options.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking it could be between, I think it might be either Dale or Chloe, but Chloe would have voted the same way as Brady. Dale. Caitlin's definitely not the right answer. John's definitely not right. Laurel's not right. Dale?
No, it was Kate.
Okay. Who'd she vote for?
Yeah, so
You voted for Brady twice.
Oh, okay.
Tash switched to Chloe on the revote. So what happened?
Tash switched to Chloe on the revote.
On
Dale,
the second vote.
Dale was one of my multiple choice options. He voted for CK and then Brady. He voted correctly both times.
Oof.
Oh, not correctly. Sorry,
Should raise
Brady
that
didn't go
for
there,
me.
but yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting little fun fact when I read it all out.
That's a good question. That's a good
Thank
question.
you. I was proud of that one. All right, JP, where would you like to go next?
You said Canberra 3 is an option, yeah?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, let's
and you
take
can bring
that.
in Loz if you wish.
Yeah,
But,
that's
you know, I
my
think
that's my
she's
plan.
there. She's gone off camera. But I think
You're
she's
only on
there.
1
She's
point,
there.
CK. I can get this. You're only on 1 point.
Yeah, you can.
So-
This is massive.
Who said the episode title, which was "The Vibe Has Gone Sour"?
Do you want Loz or not?
Yeah, I want Loz.
She won't know.
She might know.
She won't know.
She might know. She might have said it.
Um,
Can we know the episode?
it could be.
Oh, it's
I
episode
feel like
8.
it could be Todd. It sounds like a Todd comment. It's gone sour.
Loz, we have to beat CK here.
I know.
So we could-
but I don't.
Someone
like
needs to
this
beat me to
guy.
redeem the segment.
The vibe has gone sour.
Who gets voted out in episode 8? I'm trying to remember because it could be there based on the title.
Episode 8. God,
So-
I'm gone already. So
Is it the one after John?
if I'm gone, Todd's gone. Maybe it's
Who goes out after John? Because he's merged on 7, I think.
after. So John and Aiden, and then Todd, Andrew. Could it be
does give-
Andrew?
It gives
It
Andrew
gives.
vibes.
That's a bit of an Andrew kind of vibe. It could be Andrew.
All right, well, let's go with Andrew.
I think go Andrew.
All right, let's go with Andrew.
That is incorrect. CK, do you know the answer?
The answer is Todd.
It is Todd. Loz, you were right on. It's Todd's vote out episode, and he said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as she said it, I was like, yep, go with that. Go with that. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. I'm annoyed because normally I start these with at tribal council. This person was voted out, but because it wasn't relevant. All right, CK, what would you like now?
So if I can get a 1-2 pointer. Let's go with Warrandyte. I'm not afraid of the
Warrandyte.
The Warrandyte question.
This is a hard one. So Ingrid was voted out at tribal council. During her final words, when we see the votes being shown, some were really, really hard to see. How many parchments had the name added in post-production so that we could see what was written on them?
Wow.
I told you it was hard. So, like, the lighting was really bad, and when people held it up,
I get the point. I get. I'm gonna say 3.
That is incorrect.
Who's voted out episode? What is your name? Can you repeat that start of the question?
Ingrid. I did say it.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't hear it. Sorry. 4.
The answer was 7.
Huh?
That's like all the votes.
Ingrid only gets 5 votes.
Yeah, no, like there were 9 votes at that tribal. 7 of them you couldn't see. Like
it wasn't just Ingrid's votes; it was also Emily's
all
votes.
The votes.
Okay. All right. This is an incredible TWIOLSH, but it's a nail biter. I'm leading 2-1, I believe.
If you get this 2-pointer right, you could tie it up. And if it gets it wrong, like we're still in this. Would you like backyard 4 or backyard 5?
Let's do backyard 5 because it's the most recent one that I remember.
Is it 2-0? It's 2-0, isn't it? Yeah, 2-0.
It's 2-0, yeah. So you need to, get this 2-pointer to steal this. Okay. So backyard, we had a double tribal this episode. Players had the choice to have either 2 consecutive tribals or split into 2 groups and have separate tribals. Who publicly announced that they would be voting to split the tribals?
Marc.
That's incorrect, CK.
I'm going to assume it was one of the 2 girls that obviously the 2 women that had to split, otherwise they had 0 shot, which was Tara or Kate. And it seems like much more of a Tara thing to say, so we'll go with Tara.
Yes, it was Tara.
Sorry.
All right.
Well, I've won, but give me Josh's backyard question.
At the auction, players had to buy entry into the next immunity challenge. Since Michael didn't have any money left, who paid for him to play?
I feel like it was Matt B.
Incorrect.
Mm.
JP, do you know this one?
Look, I don't really know anything. Kiara.
Yes!
Hey, I got one.
She's a kind soul, Kiara. That makes a lot of sense.
Fellow first boot.
So my score of 3-1. None of you got a question right off the bat. Well done. I made the questions too hard.
Yes, I did. I got my Tara question right. Thank you.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't your question. Nobody got 2 points.
The one question was my question.
Oh yeah, that was yours. Okay, 4-1.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Josh. Incredible battle. Love you, JP. Amazing. Thanks, Jules. And I remain undefeated. Let's see if someone can bring me down on everyone's favorite segment next week. Thank you both. Just changing the background here. Because leave it up because everyone loves it so much. And bring back in the ORCAs for the final moments. Another win for me. Loz, you got the question right this time. Well done. You knew it.
No, I got the question wrong again.
Yeah, but you said Todd. That was your instinct. Go with your gut.
Yeah.
I don't like this game.
Go with your gut. You were so right. It was Todd. All right. Okay, so final bits. ORCA of the episode. Who do you guys want to put up as contenders for the thing? We've given 2 to Danny, 2 to Jules. Greg had 1. Hannah, Nat. Is that it? Yeah.
Greg, I'm putting Greg out.
Yeah, Greg, 100%.
Okay, you both on Greg.
It was his game, in his opinion. It was, and he still cannot understand how it wasn't his game to win. That is
Has the
Orca
interview enhanced his Orca potential for the episode?
No. It just
Me?
reinforced. It reinforced it.
To me,
Right.
that was the best interview I've ever partaken in or seen on any of the LRG podcasts in history. That was iconic.
Yeah, like he crossed the line when he said no one cares about TWIOLSH. Oh.
That was a power move. I'm here for
Power
it.
move. Look, I loved that from Greg. That was a great interview because he did say, like, you guys go soft on people, which we do, because we go hard on them when they're in the game, and once they're out of the game, they're not characters anymore. They're people, and they're people with feelings, and they're here on a show, and we try to be nice. But if you come on our show and you're happy to have a harder interview, then let us know, like Greg did, and we can have a great interview. That was fantastic from Greg. Okay, so you both on Greg. So Greg's got 2, Danny's got 2, Jules got 2 on the Brummies for the weekly Brummies. It's very exciting. And what is going to happen next week, Loz?
I have to go with the logical choice, and they have to take out Danny or Jules. Ash has said she doesn't want to work with the girls long term. She said that in this episode when she was in her confessional at Uncharted Waters. It makes no sense to keep either of those girls around. They still have the numbers. Ash has the numbers. It's got to be one of the two. It has to be.
What do you think, Josh?
I completely agree. Like, I don't want it to happen, but it has to be, the logical choice.
Happen.
There's, the idol's gone. The advantage. Wait, is the idol gone? Yeah, the idol's gone.
Yeah,
all the idols are gone.
There's nothing.
Gone. And I think if I were Danny and Jules, I mean, obviously we see it from this outside perspective, but if I were them, I'd be like, right, let's try and get Evan, KK, and Mietta to take out the bigger threats that are Mars and Ash. Never gonna happen.
Happen.
Yeah,
Never
I think it will end up. Ash and Mars will take out Jules and Danny, and then there'll be some kind of power struggle for taking the goats to the end.
Yep, 100%. I'm Josh and I.
They want a decision. If this is your view, of which of them would be the one to go, who would be targeted?
Danny.
Yeah, Danny. Danny's more harsh. She's the colder.
Jules is the brute force. Danny's the brains. No offense, Jules. Okay. But we're cops. That's what we do.
We've said it a few times. Danny's the main character and Jules is Danny's sidekick, and that's the way it's edited in this season. And I guess that's the vibe your guys are getting as well. All right, well, we'll have to see what happens this next episode. Thank you for everyone that stuck around live. The audience going into TWIOLSH on this almost 2-hour podcast was 9 people live, and there's still 6 of you here. So you love TWIOLSH as much as I do. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jules and JP, for participating in TWIOLSH. Thank you for Greg for such a brilliant interview. Thank you to everyone that was here live watching. We love you so much. Thank you to everyone that listens or watches after the fact. We also love you, just not is just a teeny bit less than how much we love everyone that comes live. We will be back next Wednesday covering the next episode 9 of Uncharted Waters. And until then, thank you, Loz. Thank you, Josh. We shall dance.